everybody, it's Mike Cooch. I'm here with my good friend Rob Bailey. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to have Rob here. Um, Rob, let's see here. We have known each other, gosh, I don't
4 years?
know how
Right.
long.
Well, how long has it been since you moved to San Diego?
It's been just over 5 years.
Yeah, so there you go. Around there.
Yeah. So right around there. Cool. So Rob, yeah, is a San Diego native, but now is in Alabama. That's quite a change. I know it's good for you and good for your family though. So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And we miss San Diego, but my wife is from here, so it's been a really good move for us. And I like you know this, but I still get to go back to San Diego tons.
Oh
So
yeah, no, that's great. Cool. So the reason I have Rob on this call is that he has been well. One, it's been awesome to watch his journey here over the last 5 years because you have, you've definitely had some of the kind of ups and downs, right, roller coaster ride of being an entrepreneur.
mhm.
But most recently, I feel like you've really hit your stride and have had some really good success in what I think most people will call the agency space. That's kind of a world that you've lived in though for since I've known you, that whole 5 year time period, and even a little bit before that. And I think it's going to be really helpful for people to hear, what was that agency world like before, because there is that early story, and then what has it been like recently, and kind of what are the key factors that have allowed some of this recent success to really happen. So, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you just give us, the kind of minute elevator pitch, I guess, on background and stuff like that that will kind of lead us up to this story.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll start with the success and then go back a little bit. But the past year in our agency, we my old business partner and I had an agency that was focused on gym membership growth. So our niche was fitness locations, right? And in the past year, or I guess it was like a year and a half or so, um, we had helped 525 locations and signed some pretty big deals with some, well-known franchises, some of the fastest growing franchises in the fitness space. And and so we had a great deal of success with that. And that's kind of why I'm here to share some of that success and what the secret sauce was, so to speak,
Yeah,
with you and your tribe. And then I actually sold that agency in just this past February. So
awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
we
when he says a great deal of success with helping these gyms, I mean, you literally, from what I understand, some of the numbers, I mean, you like literally blew up and transformed their businesses overnight in some cases.
yeah, absolutely. We can talk about what that means here in a minute, but
Yeah,
I used to have a typical just Facebook ads agency, and we would just do lead generations through Facebook ads for local clients. And I was moderately successful with that for a couple of years. So like 2 years ago, we started in the fitness niche. So 0 to 525 locations in I think it was like 22 months, something crazy
wow.
like that. And then for a couple of years before that, I was just sort of like petering along, if you will.
Mhm.
And prior to that, I had a big jack of all trades agency. I had a big office downtown and like tons of staff and everything. And I call that one my seven-figure failure agency because that thing looked so good on paper. Everybody thought we were crushing it, and there was so much money coming in, but all that money is pretty much going back out. So I
Now,
had
and
employees.
I want you to get into that a little bit because I think you've probably heard me talk about a couple of my major philosophies about the whole agency world.
Oh
One
yeah,
of them is what I call services that scale, in that you've got to have a services model that is not actually what most people consider an agency. Like agency is really the traditional model is there's some sort of professional services. We're kind of selling our time. We're selling access to our brain power. Usually, there's an hourly foundation to that model.
right.
Whether or not you actually really pitch, hey, I'm doing this hourly, or it's a project wrapped up in hours, but usually there's some sort of foundation of it like that, and that, in my opinion, is an awful model.
Yes.
And what I continue to see over and over, and what I experienced in my past, but I see over and over again, is exactly what you're describing, where on the outside, people are going, oh, look, he's got that big office and all of those employees and he's got an agency. And the reality is that business owner can't sleep at night because the only thing that's happened with their revenue growth is expense growth. And they're wondering, how do I get off this damn treadmill?
Exactly. And the bigger it got, the worse it got for me. So I would always try to fix it by adding more business, but the model itself was broken. And like, you cannot fix the economics of a broken model unless you change the model. Like it's just it's so simple.
Perfectly said.
Yeah, it's like, so we not only were we exchanging our time for the money, which is super not scalable,
and just not fun.
It's not fun. It sucks, man. I mean, my business partner would spend some nights under the desk sleeping. Like he'd get a box of pizza and a 6-pack of beer and sit there and crush a website. And, he was a super talented guy. This is my first business partner.
Yeah.
And I was all right at marketing too. I was like, it's not that we're not good at it. It's just
it's a model. It's a broken model.
It's a broken model. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So like, the best example of it is creatives, right? Like creatives and creative agencies take so much pride in their chops, right? Mm-hmm. But you see these companies like Design Pickle that are total, and I love watching Design Pickle's ads because it captures this so perfectly.
Yeah.
Design Pickle is a productized service, super scalable. This guy, Russ Perry, created it from nothing. Tons of automation. Like it's really low price service. But it just gives the people what they want. And so they'll pay for that. Yeah. It's a lower price point than you would pay like a creative who's super great at creative, right? And so this guy runs his ads and there's all these creatives on there that are just like, barf, this is like disgusting. This
yeah, of course, yeah.
And I'm like, you're working a broken model. How can you complain to this guy when you're just working your broken model? And the only reason why I've learned now, right? It only took me a decade or something.
Same here. Yeah. We're all thick-headed.
That's right. But so that's why my first seven-figure agency failed. And I won't get an emotional side of that, but I was like, it broke my heart to close that business. And my wife was like, maybe you should go get a job, which for me, it was like not even an option.
Not even an option. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had to, advertise to get out of my lease early. We made a YouTube video where I'm basically acting like the real estate agent. And we finally got our lease, got out of our lease. So I shut the whole thing down and had to start over. Yeah. Well, yeah. And the YouTube video is still live somewhere. And sometimes I watch it. It's like, it's that moment where I just went home and cried, because I was like, damn, I let everybody down. I let myself down.
I know that's hard, but it's also awesome, man. And it's part of that journey of being an entrepreneur. If you haven't crawled under your desk and sucked your thumb and cried, I don't think you're a real entrepreneur. So.
Right. Yeah. And it put hair on my chest. That's for sure. Yeah. I learned a ton from it. So then I kind of like productized my services, right? So I was trying to fix the model, but I still hadn't niched down. I was basically, my service was productized. I started a Facebook ads agency, right? And this is right about the time to where it was still sort of like novel. It was new. And like, if you were decent at it at all, you could get really good results. And so that worked for a couple of years, but still I was like, I'm hitting this glass ceiling. I'm still kind of creeping back into that space where I'm like, like my time is limited and my team's time is limited and we're hitting this cap, right?
Yeah.
So you and others had said like, dude, you got to niche down, right? So I tried one niche. I tried real estate and I just went all in, right? And in like 3 or 4 months, I, number one, became the real estate Facebook ads guy in San Diego, kind of like my name was passed around their offices. So it just goes to show you, it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
But number two, I learned that I hated that niche for a variety of reasons. And, not everybody, is like, so I'm not trying to discourage people from niching down. My point with it is that,
you got to find the right niche, though.
Just go find the right one. Yeah.
Not all niches are the same. That's for sure.
That's right. So like what worked for me is not necessarily what will work for you, but you should still do this. Right. And so even though I quickly learned that it wasn't the right niche for me, I quickly was growing my agency and I was finding the leverage because I would run the same open house campaign, the same buyers campaign, the same sellers campaign.
Exactly. It becomes cookie cutter.
It was cookie cutter. And so I was like, the light bulb went on. Now I just got to find the right niche for me. Then I met the guy who would end up becoming my business partner in the fitness agency. And I really love the model of niching down and running Facebook ads for the fitness industry, because if you find the right type of gym, there's a lot of money for the business owner to be made, a lot of upside for him, and it's easy to scale out the campaigns for me. And so that's how we got started, and we ran that. Okay, for the first year, it was, we had our first $50,000 month. I think we got to that in 5 or 6 months. We got to our first 50K month.
Okay, everybody, we're back. You're watching this video right now. You're probably seeing some editing happen. Rob and I were right in the middle of our interview, and the interwebs crashed. Everything went to shit there for a second. So,
hate it when that happens.
Yeah, we're stitching it back together here, and we're going to continue. So, Rob, you were telling us you were somewhere in the neighborhood of, you've made this transition to being focused on the gym niche, and you had achieved your first $50,000 month somewhere like 6 months into it or something like that, which is amazing. And then you said something happened, and
and it was the ultimate cliffhanger, right?
And that's it. End video.
That's what you should put in the copy for this. And then
what happened?
Yeah. Okay, so this was like right in the fall period, which is kind of like the back to school. I think it was August or September. We had that great month. And then my business partner had warned me. He said, "Hey, look, we're entering the dead zone. Q4 for fitness industries. It's like they try to conserve resources, sit on cash."
You're saying,
because it's kind of like the slow period through the holidays, and they get a lot of cancellations. It's just part of the cyclical nature of fitness. And then Q1's gangbusters again, and we'll probably book a ton of business, right? So I was like, oh, what are we gonna do? But something interesting happened too. I noticed in that 3-4 month-ish period, our churn rate just skyrocketed. And the reason for that was twofold. Yes, it was a slow season for fitness, but we were still getting our clients results and putting money into their pocket. For the most part, some locations were struggling, but we were still making it work. And even so, we didn't have the same client on our roster for that 3-4 month period. We didn't have a single client that was the same. Wow. So we were hustling. Yeah, we were like doubling down, totally hustling, trying to get new clients in and, get through that slow period. And the reason, what I found was I just made this observation. I was like, dang, what's broken, right? And the reason why I think it was a unique time was because this is when Facebook was making huge changes, right? And so that was thing one. And thing two was the marketplace was being flooded with the commoditization of what we were offering, right? There was a ton of lead gen companies coming out. All of the big players were getting into the marketplace. I mean, you can literally get Facebook ads from a Yellow Pages salesman now. Like that's how,
right.
All that stuff was starting to come into the market. And so I was like, like I've seen this happen before. If you've been doing marketing at all, you've seen this happen. Something's great for a while and then things change, right? Like a tactic. And so I was like, Ryan, dude, we got to stay ahead of this. Like we can't just struggle through this and then get to January and be like, we're just like everybody else. Cause this is going to continue to happen. Like it happens with everything in the marketing space, right? Eventually. Yeah. So I was like, we got to figure out how to stay ahead of it basically. And so he's like, well, what are you thinking? I was like, let's tear apart all of our stats, all of our data for our, the results we got our clients and look at what the key difference maker was for those clients who just totally crushed it. They're like our best case studies, like the easiest to work with, easiest to get results for. So what we found was that all of the clients that truly crushed it had good follow-up. They did it fast, and they usually had some point of leverage with it. So this is a bit of a backstory, but I ended up going to Ryan and saying, let's hire the guy that used to do all the follow-up for the gym that you used to work at, because my business partner was a fitness guy. He was in fitness sales for 10 years. And that's how I met him. He was doing the membership sales at the gym that I was going to. That's how I got introduced to him. And so he had one guy sitting there at the gym, sitting there booking appointments and doing lead nurturing from the leads that came in from my ads. And I'm like, how much of the time do you think he spends? He's like, probably half of his day he's doing that and getting leads to come in for all of us. And about half the time he's selling memberships, right? So I'm like, any chance that guy wants to leave the gym and come over to work with us, just like you did, you know? And he goes, I don't know, I can find out. So he's like, why? What are you thinking? I'm like, we need to hire that guy. And he's like, what? And the reason why is because when I looked at it, I knew that the follow-up was the problem. If we looked at like the bottom half of our roster of clients, all the guys who we were doing this finger pointing game of, like they're saying the leads are crap, and we're going, we got you like 100 leads or 200 leads.
Right.
Like the elephant in the room. Like all those guys they were either too busy, they didn't have the skill set, they had a front desk person who was botching it, they had like, you know, it's just basically no one was getting followed up with within 5 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it takes nowadays, you know?
Yep.
If you don't follow up the lead immediately, or
that's what it's always taken. Statistically, when I did the Chase Formula product 10 years ago now, the Chase Formula statistics at that time were that if you didn't follow up within 5 minutes, you had it was like a 15% chance of securing that lead into a customer versus following up in under 5. I mean, it's just ridiculous how much it dropped off. It's always been.
Yeah, it's like a 600% higher chance if you catch them in that window or something crazy like that. And HubSpot and MIT did a study on that too. It's well documented, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, you know, I was just, it's crazy because, you know, I'm stubborn. You probably felt this way before, but I did think back to things like that. It's like, I knew that, you know, I knew that stat. I knew that that was the case, but why haven't we figured out a way to address it?
Yeah.
So I look at the data confirms all this, and I'm like, okay, man, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend the holidays, basically like November and December, getting this new hire, Haplin, to just figure this out for all of our clients. Like one way or another, we're going to do it. And so we did a ton of trial and error. It was his full-time job to figure this out. And he's a really bright kid, but he's young, you know, he needs direction, and you know, he wasn't savvy with all the different tools that were out there. So we tried every tool we could, and I helped him sort of develop this plan. Well, what we found was that if we took over the lead follow-up for the client, that we could get every single client that came into our ecosystem more sales opportunities. Mm-hmm. That it took all the guesswork out of it.
Yep.
So we'd get 100 leads. But let me just put it to you this way: the old way, where we generate the lead and then the client follows up with them never or too late, we generate about 100 leads, and that client would get between 2 to 10 sales opportunities on average. 2 to 10. And it was just, they prayed that the customer showed up, basically. That's kind of how it worked. With Haplin doing the lead nurturing, he would get 60 to 80%. This is an average across all our clients. 60 to 80% to book an appointment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 40 to 60 of those people would show up on average. And most of our clients could sell okay. Even if they only close half those people, they get 20 to 40 new members in a month from those 100 leads.
So you're literally, I mean, when I say you're blowing up their business, I mean, you're literally causing a shocking change in growth for these gyms. I mean, some of these people have to be like, you've got to be the top of their Christmas present list.
Yeah. Some of them, it literally like changed their lives. It like saved their business, saved, you know, their financial troubles. You know, they were able
to. That's got to feel so good to be able to do, one. And then two, from a business model perspective for you, obviously that's a total game changer.
Yeah. And like, you know, my story, my dad passed away in 2003 in a helicopter crash because my dad owned several businesses in the construction niche. And he just, you know, you get older, you can't keep doing that all the time, right? It wears and tear on your body. But my dad was not a good businessman. He never quite figured the business part of it out. He's super talented skill-wise, but so he passed away in a helicopter accident because he was being a helicopter instructor for the money, basically, to support his family. And, you know, it was truly an accident. It was a negligent accident, but it was like a tragedy, really. But in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that if him and the average small business owner had these tools right available to them, that they could probably make it work. Like is exactly how I think about it. You know.
Wow.
So my passion for helping small business, that's where my passion for helping small businesses comes from, you know? And when I see these people who don't quite have all the pieces in place, but I know how to fix that part of it for them, then I go, okay, I will take that responsibility. I will be like, let's figure this out. I will get you closer to the sale so that you can actually have these people show up. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where things are headed. In fact, I'm going to go on a tear. Now that I sold the agency, this is my mission, is to like get people to get on the front end of this wave that's about to crash, get ahead of it, because I think this is where everything is going. I think lead gen is going to become commoditized super fast. And I think that small business owners will, well, I know this because we just proved it, but they'll pay a premium for you to solve that problem for them. You'll also save them time. So with us doing the lead nurturing, it saved them about 10 to 20 hours a week of unnecessary follow-up. And it'll allow them to reinvest back into you, into the growth of their business. And again, I think especially in the fitness niche, but a lot of these niches, if they're not growing, they're failing, you know, or on their way to failing.
That's every business.
Yeah.
That's
so
reality, right? That's life. I mean,
it is totally.
If you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Yeah, for sure. So my whole philosophy with this thing was, let me put a bunch of money in your pocket, Mr. Gym owner, and then you can afford to keep reinvesting. So our whole pitch was like, look, within 30 days, you're going to get a full return on investment on what you pay us, and then some. And we would aim for 10x what they paid us. And so our whole philosophy was like at the end, we were charging $5,800 up front for 3 months of service, and we were getting it like clockwork.
That's
because
awesome.
we were putting hundreds of thousands of dollars in annualized revenue in those 3 months into their pocket. More importantly, they could afford to pay their credit card bill in 30 days to pay our fee. And then they just kept reinvesting it into the ads and our service over and over and over again. And so that's when our retention rate boosted, their results boosted, all this stuff boosted. I mean, and that's why we did like 1.7 million in 1 year at the end there before we sold it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Now, and the key here I want to stress is that you found a way to still do this in a process oriented, like a systematic way, so that you were able to scale your business quickly as well. Because one of the things that the agency model that you see happen so often is that you, the talented agency owner that's got this marketing chops and sales chops, you'll go and you'll fix something for your clients. But the way that you'll do it will end up breaking your back. So you're taking all of your talent and building somebody else's asset when you're not actually creating an asset for yourself, which drives me insane that people, sometimes don't see that and make that connection, or they just get caught in the grind and can't escape it. But you're taking all of your talent, building somebody else's business, potentially adding tremendous equity value to them, while all you're doing is putting yourself on more of a treadmill. But that's not what happened to you guys. You figured out a way to scale it.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, because what we created was like the average agency. This is how it works. The phenomenon you're describing, they get a client, they're like, everything goes down except for some short-term money. So their capacity decreases, right? Their profit margin typically decreases. The amount of time that they have to spend.
It's the cycle of doom. This is what I call the cycle of doom.
Right. So with our business, at the end there, what was happening was we would get a client to pay us in advance, which allowed us to profitably acquire new customers. And we ran ads all the time.
Yeah.
And so our calendar was full, constantly have opportunities in our calendar. We were able to do that because we charged a premium in our market, right? We would get that client results, fast results. 7 to 30 days was our goal. Like, get them something tangible so we can make a case study out of it.
Love it.
We capture those results and put it back into the marketing, and that would turn into more customers. So it was a bit of a flywheel effect where
absolutely
the more clients that we put into our business, the better it got. So we have a graph on this now because explaining this to people is kind of hard to conceptualize. But with every client that came into our ecosystem, the time spent per client went down, because if you've got, our software tool open anyway, and your Haplin's doing the lead nurturing, the time spent per client goes down, because if he's doing let's just say he's doing 100, I'm exaggerating, by the way, but if he's helping 100 clients and he has 8 hours in the day, he's only going to spend like X amount per client, because he's got to get it all done, right? I mean, that would be a very busy day for him. But if he's spending all that time on one client, then he's spending 8 hours for one client, right? So we got that down to where it's about 15 minutes a day per client.
Jeez.
And so realistically, this is just being super realistic. Like a new person that you just trained off the street using our system could handle about 30 clients, right? Haplin, who's really good at this because he's done it a ton, can handle 50, and I think he could even handle more than that. But he's told me conservatively he could handle 50, right? So when you have that type of leverage, then you're like, bring it on. Like, what's preventing us from doing more, right? And so what ended up happening was, so probably your next question is, okay, well, where are you getting all the leverage from? And the short answer is we built a software tool, right? At first we used Scipio, and we had, a couple hundred Scipio accounts in that last year, before
and from what I understand, a very big bill to go along.
The bill was it fluctuated between 25 and 40,000 a month, our Scipio bill.
Wow.
And I think it peaked at 44 grand one month or something, and it was a total and complete disaster of a mess. There's a bunch of reasons why, but we were overpaying. It wasn't saving us a ton of time. And I mean, we were getting it done, but that's when I had 12 people in our agency. Then we're like, this is ridiculous. We can build our own tool. So we did. I went and found some development partners, and it got about twice as good, right? Found some development partners, and it became like better. We definitely got better, but then we found a new set of development partners, and the new development partners were like 10 times better than the first guys, and they totally got what we were trying to do. And at the same time, I'm getting asked by all my agency owner friends, dude, can you white label this software for me, right? I want to be able to install your system into my business. And so on this try, we nailed it. And the software is a piece of what allows us to help so many people. But it's also, since it's, the flywheel effect is happening, like I don't need more employees to put new people in our system now. So our agency went from 12 employees down to 3 at the end there. And yeah.
So all that growth with headcount shrinking.
Yeah, exactly. And we, to be fair, our volume had slowed down quite a bit. And I wanted it that way because I was looking to get out, to sell the business anyway. And my business partner had left about 4 or 5 months before that. He said, I want to go do something else. He's super passionate about this other area of his life. And so, I had half the manpower too, half the, capacity of leadership at the top, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but really I was like, look, how many more small businesses can I impact if I open this up to other agency owners, right? Who can then go help 50, 100 business owners themselves, right? Yeah. Then just the ripple effect, and that's really truly what my passion is. Like I could take or leave being an agency owner. Like it's just a model, it's just a business vehicle, but I'm looking for more impact now, Yeah. And so that's kind of when people ask, well, if things were so good, why'd you sell the agency? And that's the reason why, is I want to have more impact, and I believe I can do it by, not keeping this to myself, because I think everybody's going to be doing this in 10 years. It's going to be a non-negotiable. It's like you're going to have to if you're still doing this, right? Yeah. I think we're on the very front end of it, and I just want to share it with people like you and people like who are in your community.
That's awesome, man. I love it. It's such a fantastic story, and it's got so many lessons in it. I love your passion for helping the business owner, and by the way, I mean, it's funny that we haven't really talked about this given all of our conversations, but that is almost the exact same thing that is driving me. I told you, I remember we had brunch not too long ago when you were in San Diego, and I told you that I've got a whole new level of motivation and energy and stuff again. And the reason why is because I really like, I drank this Kool-Aid of realizing that we live in this time now. I've always been a nut about entrepreneurship, but we live in this time now where, because of the tools, because of the automation and things like that that are available to us, we have the ability to apply that stuff to businesses and really, literally, and I'm not exaggerating, change the world, because so much of the world is small businesses. It's by far and away the majority of the people in the world are working in very small businesses. And the far majority of those people are trading time for money. They are, they are trading literally time for money and never getting ahead. And because of the technology and the processes and things that you're talking about, you can finally truly break that for even the smallest businesses if you know how to apply this stuff effectively. And that is when you think about the impact that that had on your life, and you think about the impact that that had on the gym owner's life, and now you multiply that times 1,000. That's just like, I mean, what a miracle that you could apply that to, that you could have that impact on 1,000 people's lives and their families and their communities. But then multiply that times 10,000, 100,000, a million. Like, it's mind-boggling when you think about the downward effect, the flow that comes from that on so many lives and so many communities. When you have people that now all of a sudden, instead of having a gym that's barely getting by, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to pay the bills, I run into Robin and System, and now 3 months later, not only am I not worried about paying the bills, but like, I can take time off and know that there's still cash coming in like crazy because we've got a system, we've got a process. We were signing 2 or 3, you said 2 to 3, and maybe 10 on the very high side.
Yeah.
New customers for every 100 leads, and now we're signing 40. Like, that's just insane. So that fires me up. I love it so much, and I love, that you have taken what you were doing, you turned it into a smart asset, building software, and you're sharing that with other people. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm just fired up for you, man. Obviously, I think it's such an exciting thing that you're doing, and such a cool story and opportunity. That's great.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I'm like, if you couldn't tell that I'm passionate about it, like that's really what's driving me here. So like, you are right about all the impact that it made, and all those stories and everything. But the thing that I think I took away from it the most was that. So this is an interesting thing that I've been able to observe and slow down on, and just really like kind of sink in conceptually since the agency sale. But what is the advantage? So like, I observed this whole shift that I think is happening with the Facebook ads, commoditization and everything. But this is the advantage that small businesses have over those guys. Because like, I just sat down, I'm like, what is our advantage with this? Being early, being first. Well, if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, like, and you kind of followed him during his wine shop days, his advantage when he was small was speed. He could implement something very fast because there's no red tape, and just get it done. And, his dad owns a business. He's like, Dad, I'm doing this. And he's go, okay, But that is the small business advantage, is they can be 10 years ahead of when all the big companies catch on to this and try to squash them.
Yep.
Because the big companies right now, let's just use the gym example since we've been talking about it. They call Planet Fitness the purple giant because they are just coming in and outspending every small gym owner. They have better facilities than every small gym owner. And they have this giant piece of the pie. If you look at like, the market share pie. And so if Planet Fitness moves to town, boy, you better have some kind of advantage, because they'll outspend you.
You've got a process. They're going to crush you.
Yeah. So what's the small business advantage? Well, first of all, 6 years ago, you should have been doing Facebook ads because Planet Fitness has just now figured this out. So the advantage now is to do this, right? Like, get better, like be able to be better at the point of conversion so that you can spend what you need to get your piece of the pie, right?
Yeah.
So like, I won't get too geeky with the math here, but doing this increases the amount of like their break even for the cost per lead that they can spend. And so instead of obsessing over a $5 cost per lead, they can pay 15, 20, $25, just like the Purple Giant can, right? And
Yeah.
still convert enough and monetize that enough to make make themselves a player in their local market, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so
And bring what makes them unique still. And that's the
exactly.
thing. If you are automating all of the crap that you used to do, and when I say crap, there's so much administrative overhead in doing anything in a small business that buries them, that the value that initially caused them to start a business in the first place and to be successful to whatever degree that they actually were attracting clients and customers because they actually have something unique to bring to the marketplace that the giant big box competitor can't bring. It gets lost
Yep.
because they get buried in overhead that now can be automated, it can be systematized, and it can free them up to then continue to actually add the value that makes them special in the first place. Their personality, their unique touch, their connection to the local community, whatever it is that
Yeah.
actually makes them special, they can actually spend time on that.
I'll give you a real practical example of that. So there's tangibles that applies to, and intangibles. You kind of mentioned more of the intangibles, but in a very tangible, practical example, like we helped over 225 9 round locations, right? And I don't know what the number got. I think it was like 230 or something. But 9 round has a unique model. They have just like a little box, right? It's just like in any strip mall, they could open this thing, right? Because it's just, the gym they have 9 boxing stations around the walls. And then there's a trainer in the middle. And so you come in and you just move through, the bell rings every 3 minutes. And so it's a 30-minute workout. It's like 27 minutes, 3 minutes at 9 rounds.
Yeah, cool.
And then there's like a 30-second rest period in between each station, right? So really cool concept. And what the franchise model was asking these people to do was to be teaching people at potentially 9 stations and also pick up the phone and answer it when a lead comes in. Like, how does that get done? You know? And so
it just makes sense.
Yeah. Like, and I saw this in action. Like if they got a call and they had a quick break, they would just pick up the phone and run into their car to take the phone call,
Oh, jeez.
you know? And so they had a sales problem, you know? But think about this. Our system freed up the trainer to still keep what was unique about them, which is their whole pitch is like, come in anytime you want. There's no class times, right?
Yeah.
And you get the help of a personal trainer. It's unlimited. You can come as much as you want.
Yeah.
You get the help of a personal trainer with a 30-minute workout. It's super unique, right? It's a great proposition with busy people, or someone who wants it different every day, or someone who needs that extra energy to like high five and spar with the person, you know, and it's fun. It's super fun. But they could not be doing both at the same time. It's physically impossible unless they just were dead that day or at that time. And so we came in, the reason why we were able to help so many of them was because we were solving that problem for them. Did the phone still ring? Yes. But we were booking all their appointments for these people to come in so that they could sell them. So the people who had a good salesperson or a trainer who they knew that was good at sales, and there was just slow times, we would just book all the appointments during the slow times, and they would crush it. They would absolutely smash it because this person didn't have 10 to 20 hours of just like trying to figure everything else out. Like they were either training or selling, right? They weren't chasing people around, booking appointments, handling reschedules, like all that stuff that we took care of through our system in a very automated way, semi-automated way. They just didn't have to worry about it anymore. So that's why that one kind of blew up. We spoke on stage at their conference, at their convention. We sold 63 clients in 3 days at our booth. And it's just because of that.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we
That's
just presented on stage, went to our booth, told them how the system worked, and they were like, "Oh my God, we've been looking for something like this," you know?
Love it.
So, yeah, that's what you're getting to, is like they're able to still keep what makes them unique with our solution. They didn't have to change that, right?
It's a perfect example. I love it, and I love the leverage that those businesses get from that is just unbelievable. You can talk about a game changer. That's awesome, man. Look, I have kept you here longer than I expected. And sorry about the internet connection dropping, but this is such a fantastic story and so many lessons in it. I hope everybody very, very clearly takes from Rob's experience. Do not get into a model without leverage where you're just trading your time, because what will happen is 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, you will still just be trading your time, and you will still be trying to get ahead, and you will not, because it is a flawed model. You've got to apply leverage. You've got to apply systems and systems thinking. You've got to practice just good old fundamentals, going after niches, going after markets where there's channels where you can access a bunch of customers, things like that. But you've got to focus on having the right model to be successful, or you will end up on that treadmill. You will end up where Rob ended up, which is an incredible story, using the video to market yourself to essentially get out of your own lease. It's an incredible story, but we don't want other people there. And I love that your experience is now your passion for helping other businesses. That's amazing.
Thanks, man. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share it to your group, because I think it can help so many of you. I wouldn't be taking the time to do this or bothering you with it if I didn't.
Yeah.
I truly think that it's like, it'll get you well positioned for the next 5 to 10 years by picking this up now, and it will be unique enough for you to have a clear differentiator in your agency, and you won't be bucketed with that Yellow Pages salesman guy who also sells Facebook ads.
Yes.
Because that's coming. It's already started. So I can only see more of it happening in the future, as far as I'm
Well,
concerned.
absolutely. And I mean, Facebook's ad system is becoming more and more artificial intelligence to begin with. I mean, there's going to be a point very, very quickly here where, being an ad manager is going to be a very risky career proposition, because Facebook doesn't really need a whole lot of your input to that process, right?
That's right. They've took all of our hard work and turned it into a robot.
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely right. They've got all the data. They can figure that out on their own. So awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We appreciate it. We'll have some links to go along with this video where you can get more information about Rob and his technology and his systems and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for joining us and telling your story. We really appreciate it.
Of course, man. My pleasure. Thanks, Mike.
Talk here soon.
All right. See you, man.
Bye-bye.